Hey, this is Russell, and I work at the video store, the place that we can all go to every week when it's movie night. On days like today, when the store is quiet, I get to watch movies and series and talk about them with my friends that work here. All right, let's do it. Let's open up the shop.
Did you see that thing yesterday on the TV? It was really interesting!
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Hi.
How are you, Cole?
I'm fantastic. It's a good morning.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
You got some nice shorts on. We'll talk about that in a
Thank you.
moment.
Yeah,
How you, Perrin?
I'm great. I'm just in awe of Cole's
Calf
legs.
muscles.
I don't see them often enough, you know. It's always jeans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm loving a dash of color, some nice pink shorts.
This is why I kind of like when I put my shorts on, because I always get a, dude, you have big calf muscles. I'm
You
like,
do have nice calf muscles.
thank you.
Yeah, you should be in the movie Challenges,
Oh.
directed by Luca Guadagnino.
We're going to talk about it in a moment.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for wandering into our video store. It's lovely to have you.
Yeah.
So one thing before we get started is I want to make a little shop announcement,
Oh,
okay?
I didn't know we could do that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
This little button here.
Oh, is that what that does?
Yeah, and
big
then,
red
then
button,
everyone in
yeah.
the shop can hear what we have to
Oh
say.
my goodness.
All right, let's do it. Attention all customers, this is just to let you know that our good friends over at Do Us Wine are running a special promotion with us. If you don't know about Do Us Wine, it is fantastic wine that comes in a box, hence the name, and you can go over to dous.wine, and if you put in the promo code videostoredoos, all one word, you can get 15% off your order, but you have to choose to do the collection at the Bioscope. So over here at the Bioscope, we've got a place where you can come and collect your Do Us Wine so that you can save on shipping. All right, so that is Video Store Doos to get 15% off your order of really good wine over at dous.wine. Yeah, we watched Challenges last week, which was incredible. It is now in cinemas, including the Bioscope. And I really want us to get into it because I think it's something really worth chatting about. But let's get back to Cole's legs. No, my uncovered legs only come out like near a beach.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I feel bad for them because when they do get exposed, they're very
They're good legs, right?
I like my legs.
Yeah.
I've got no issues with my legs. What do you think about your legs?
I fucking love my legs. It's the one thing about myself I absolutely adore. Like everything else, I'm like, ugh, you know, that's fine, whatever. But my legs, oof, summer comes out.
But you being serious?
Dude, I have great legs. I don't want to take my pants off in the cinema right now because I'm wearing jeans. But
Do you know who really has great legs? Is Gad from the video store. I think you still need to meet him. You haven't done a shift with him
I've
yet.
seen him around. I've seen him selling sweets. And
He was a
stuff.
Taekwondo like junior black belt.
Oh, sick.
He's done zero exercise since, but he's got the most like muscular legs.
Perfect legs. Yeah.
Yeah. But speaking of perfect legs and great
That is
bodies,
so weird.
let's talk about challenges.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect bodies.
Dude,
It's
Josh
very much
O'Connor.
it's
Oh my
very
God.
much it's very much a bodies, very tangible, very sexy film.
Yeah, it is.
And I
God,
think
it's sexy, you fucking hell.
it is, right? And without it being explicit.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
exactly. There's
being-
no sex scenes
and
at all.
obviously,
There's actually
like,
no technical sex
Exactly.
scenes. Yeah,
Not sexy. I'm sorry, I'm making noises with my hoodie.
That's
But
fine.
not sexy in an obvious way.
Yeah, 100%.
I feel like sultriness and sexiness happen in a very predictable pattern in filmmaking.
But that's also the power of Luca Guadagnino.
Yes.
So like his films are always. He's got what I love about Luca is his. Sorry, we're on first name basis.
Right.
His films are so textured, like visually and also like character driven wise, where he doesn't need to have things overly sexy. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of his films do have a lot of sexiness to it. I mean, obvious ones, Call Me by Your Name, Suspiria's fucking sexy film.
Yeah, it is.
And they play
Bones
with
and all, Jesus, they're
they
all
play
sexy
with
films.
sex as well.
Yeah.
Like they use it as an instrument. Where
Yeah.
like, so quick. Let's do a quick back of the box because I
Yeah.
think I've got a good way to encapsulate this film.
Okay.
Yeah,
The whole film is a game of tennis.
100%. Yeah.
Yes.
So from the moment the movie starts, a tennis match is about to get underway. You've got the umpire able to go, on your left, I've got this. On my right, I've got this person. And the game starts. And as the game starts, this camera zooms
that shot,
so well down the middle, and it
music.
focuses, and the music kicks in. It sets the tone.
Yeah, it's like we're not watching, or this is about the tennis players, but it's also not about the players.
Because it
Yeah,
zones,
exactly. 100%.
Because it zones in the middle
Yeah.
is Zendaya.
Yeah.
Okay? So it sets up the fact that there are these three people.
Yeah.
And the film itself then, and we're going to try our best not to give too much spoiler away. That's always the focus, especially within first week of release.
Yeah, for sure.
Here at the video store. But the film itself is this love triangle between three people, and over the course of this tennis match, we go backwards in time to understand what's at stake in this exact game.
Yes.
And
there is literally something at stake. I didn't see
there's
that coming.
incredible amounts. As the pieces get filled in, you go back 13 years, then you go forward, then you go back, then you go to that one time, then you go to the night before. I don't want to give too much away.
Yes.
But you by the end of this film, you've got this particular picture that's now been painted for you about the incredible, complex, and just nuanced relationship between these three people. The two guys that are playing tennis and Zendaya, her character.
Yeah.
So it's lovely.
That's what I love about a
good.
good love triangle. When it's done well, every single relationship in that triangle is, you can understand the dynamic between everyone.
But that's what I'm saying about like Luca, his texture to his characters in every film.
Yes.
Like, even though he didn't write this one. So, fun fact, I think
I was going to give the fun fact, Perrin.
over to you, Cole.
Thank you. Fun fact, screenwriter Justin Kuradzikis, I think, is the husband of Celine Song.
Yeah, who wrote
Okay.
Past Lives.
Lovely.
And directed that.
Okay.
Yes.
So, like, that's what I love about, like, it's just very interesting insight into
It
their
is.
relationship as well. Because I know Past Lives is, like, semi-autobiographical of her experience with her husband.
Really?
And apparently, so I don't recall them ever being tennis players. But, like, sorry, over to you, Cole.
Okay, because I saw some memes that actually had
The Road to El Dorado.
the challenges
And Past Lives.
compared, and someone said something like, "If you know, you know."
Yeah, or 3 tickets to challenges.
Okay, but let's just touch on the director for a moment. So, as you said, perhaps before this, his biggest film was "Call Me by Your Name," which was Timothée Chalamet, and that was
He should have won the Oscar.
Who won that year?
Gary Oldman for wearing heavy prosthetics. Look, I love Gary Oldman.
We all
He's
love
amazing
Gary
in
Oldman.
Darkest Days.
But it was also one of those moments where you award their career and not just the performance.
It's a
Legacy
legacy
win.
Oscar. Yeah.
Because
Well,
you have to give Gary Oldman a fucking Oscar,
Yeah,
dude.
dude.
instead of Chalamet.
Yeah, I felt
You
Chalamet
thought he should have won. Was he nominated?
Yeah, he was
Like,
best actor. Yeah.
No actor in that lineup. Oh, Daniel Day-Lewis was there that year for Phantom Thread.
Oh, I
No,
loved Phantom
God,
Thread.
dude.
Jesus.
No other actor. Well, I'm being hyperbolic. Hyperbole. Hyperbole. It's a joke in Jonathan's show that no one gets, which is horrifying. But that final shot of Timothy crying at the fireplace.
Oh,
over
dude,
the credits.
with Sufjan Stevens playing in the background.
Yes.
Oh my god!
You're just like, it's one of the most heart-wrenching things because you can see the heartbreak of first love in your life.
I rewatched it the
It's
other
there.
day, and in sparkling 4K. Like, it's still a great film, man.
And you know what I hate about dating the gays
What?
is, and to be fair, it's people that read books a lot.
Okay.
And people that read books a lot, that are book people,
Yeah.
automatically assume that the film's going to be shit because it's based on the book.
Yeah.
So a film can never be better than the book,
Yeah.
which has been false numerous times.
Yeah.
Right? The Shining. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
But anyways, Call Me by Your Name's book is really problematic
Yeah.
because the kid is 15. In
Yeah,
that
they've
book,
changed the age
so it's a little bit
slightly in the
dodgy.
movie. Yeah.
So he's a little bit older in the film.
17 and 24, I think. Yeah.
But they like
Still weird.
None
but,
of them
yeah.
like Call Me by Your Name, so they're not going to watch the film, and then they judge me for liking the film.
Yeah, I
And
get you.
And I'm like, excuse me, that film is a fucking masterpiece.
It is. It's
and
a
then
masterpiece.
he said to me, the one ex said, it seems like it's a straight guy's idea of what a romantic holiday or a gay holiday would be like the ideal kind of experience, right? It's an outsider's perspective. And I'm like, well, if you watch the movie, you'd know that it's a bisexual awakening. I'm just saying.
And also, Luca Guadagnino's a gay filmmaker. So, like...
Is he homosexual as a person? Okay.
But, sorry, going back to tying it to challenges, like, that's one thing also that, like, Luca's films always have is his characters never feel, like you said, with the sexiness of it all, it never feels forced to just cause conflict. Like, when we see what's at stake, there's so much at stake. And that final, that like... So throughout the movie, we intercut back to this big tennis match.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And what the movie does so well, like you guys said, is the introduction of stakes, not just for, like, friendships, but relationships, but, like, careers. Everything is riding on this one game.
Yeah, and you almost don't know that until... all those pieces get put together.
And when all those pieces come together and we stay with the final tennis match, just the level of, like, I mean, there's so much slow-mo where you'd be like, is this a Zack Snyder film? Like, but like
the accent.
Is this Snyder? But like the slow-mo, like one thing with slow-mo is that it's got to be used. If you're going to use it a lot, use it well. Like, actually introduce some stakes to it, right? So with challenges, the slow-mo there, it feels, there's a line where they talk about where Zendaya's like, she talks about playing a tennis match with someone else, and she mentions that, like, in that moment we're in love, you know?
Yeah.
We're the only two people in the world that
There's only
exist.
a small amount of this game is actually tennis. The rest is something else.
It's like a spiritual bond, right? And I felt that in that whole tennis match.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, yes.
Between not just Josh O'Connor and Mark Feist, but with Zendaya as well.
Yes.
And, like, the editing in this movie is so fucking good.
And just, it's a point to mention that what you do every day when not working at the video store is edit.
Yeah, I edit.
So it's very cool that was something that you could appreciate.
100%.
Because, and it wasn't just slow-mo.
Yeah, it wasn't just
There was moments where you're the tennis ball.
Oh, yeah.
And the camera is moving across this court like you're a tennis ball to just show you how crazy and unhinged that moment was. I mean, I don't think we could have watched that shot for longer than we did, but it just gave you this, like, chaos.
Yeah, and the music as well. That
I mean, of course, I want to talk about the music. I want to go
techno.
into the music. But before we get into the music, just to speak specifically about the actors.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the biggest and the most obvious name there is Zendaya, who up until now, even though, like, in Euphoria it was a adult-themed show, she was still a kid.
Yeah, teenager,
And she was still being a teenager. In Spider-Man, she's got a backpack and she's a school kid.
Yeah,
so, like, we've seen her as this kid where now this is a movie where, like, she's a woman.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, she's not only a mom, she's more of a grown-up, but, of course, now you're seeing her in a sort of more sexualized way. One of the first shots you ever see of her is her in her underwear getting ready in the morning.
Yeah.
Yes.
From behind.
Yeah.
So it's like immediately we are going to see her as this, like, beautiful...
She's a woman,
beautiful, like, sexual object.
Yeah.
But in a way
tasteful way.
Tasteful.
She's the object of design narratively, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's one thing as well. Sorry, back to harp on Luca. He's also, his gaze is really interesting. Like, he's got a very interesting perspective in terms of how he looks at sexuality, because he's looking at Zendaya as a beautiful woman, but he's also looking at these guys as beautiful men.
You see,
I mean?
you see the
chest hair,
the blonde guy. What's his name?
Mark Feist.
You see him roll around in bed in sort of like underwear before you see Zendaya.
Yeah,
so
there's that. Did you guys pick up on the moment where he turned around and it felt like he was wearing a jockstrap? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But he turns around and his bum is, like, facing up on the bed, and she walks past the bed, and I think he was trying to solicit her to bed. And she's like, get up, we're going to go play tennis. And
that's interesting. That's very interesting.
Because, I don't know, I was looking at the bum, personally.
Sure.
This is Cole. Fucking hell.
And I was like, he's asking for it. That's what he's doing. And then she walks past the bed and goes, nope. Let's go play tennis.
But that also puts the whole their relationships into perspective. I mean,
totally.
Because, like, her character is I mean, like, it's shown in the trailer, so I can say this, right? But, like, she gets an injury, right?
Oh, is it shown in the trailer?
Yeah. The second trailer, he's like, I want you to be my coach and stuff like that, right?
Yes.
So, like, she's clearly trying to live her career through this
Absolutely.
guy. And it's shown in that final tennis match as well. Like, and like the music. I mean, come on.
Let's chat about the music. So, so for those who don't know, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross
9 Inch Nails
were in a band in the 90s and the 2000s called 9 Inch Nails, which, if you don't know them, it's kind of important that you understand where they fit in the world of music.
Yeah,
they were the sort of masters of this particular genre,
industrial,
which didn't necessarily last, but it was a moment in time like grunge. And what it was like dark, quite sinister electronic music, not happy Fatboy Slim, dance music. When you think of dance music, you think of happiness. This was industrial is the perfect word to describe it, just like grunge was the perfect word to describe some of those Nirvana songs. And they have seen a second wind in their lives as being scorers for film.
2-time Academy Award winning composers now.
Very famously doing a lot of stuff with a guy like David Fincher, so things like The Social Network. There was a reason why you felt uneasy throughout that whole thing. What are some of the other ones?
Second Oscar?
Soul with John Baptiste.
Oh shit!
What did they do? Soul,
dude. So,
okay, well then I'm kind of negating my argument here. So that was such a happy film.
It's so funny when Soul won, because I'm a huge 9 Inch Nails fan as well. When Soul won, I'm like, imagine telling some fucking angry teenager in 1994 who just listened to Downward Spiral, like, Trent Reznor is going to win an Academy Award for a Disney movie. And they're going to be like,
no, he would never do that, man.
That's interesting. Okay, so I didn't even know he was involved in that. But
he's actually one award away from winning the EGOT. Because they won for Watchmen as well, which is a fucking crazy score.
They won the Emmy for
TV
Watchmen.
show, yeah.
Okay.
Fucking hell, dude.
Well, amazing dudes. And so when you speak of Downward Spiral, which was one of their more famous albums, it's worth mentioning something very particular, which is the fact that it is this electronic music.
Yeah.
It is dark to to a large degree, but I'm just talking specifically now about Challenges.
Got you.
Challenges has this incredible score that gives it this energy. It's so close to being cheesy.
It's like 90s
very
techno.
90s kind of
techno.
It's techno. I kept on thinking it was breakbeat, but
that's like it feels like techno. Yeah.
But one of 9 Inch Nails' most famous songs.
I loved you mentioned this afterwards because I couldn't stop thinking about it.
Had this very unforgettable line.
Yeah.
Which was, I want to fuck you like an animal.
Closer? Yeah.
Yeah, the song Closer.
Yeah.
I want to feel you from the inside.
So this is very important because what that does is that says it's dark, it's industrial, it's crazy, it's intense, but it's sexy.
Yeah.
There's something sexy
There's something
about
primal about that.
It is
song.
primal,
that is
100%.
And so that's why these guys are the perfect people for this kind of movie, where although it's tennis, where it's kind of pristine, white clothing,
it's like dirty, it's
but
filthy.
there's something that's primal about it, and their music is laced with this sexiness, and I think that's an important thing to mention, that you're talking, this soundtrack's made by a guy that says, I want to fuck you like an animal. You know what I mean?
And I kind of like to bow tie these two notes that you've made.
Yeah.
You spoke about his gaze.
Yeah.
Which, like, in any discussion, when you look at a male gaze, it objectifies in a very sexual way.
Yeah, I was about to say, just to stipulate, we're talking about Gaze.
A male gaze.
Which is just to...
Two nouns? It's a compound noun. It's a female.
We're talking about like the look of the camera, the way the camera moves. It represents how we look or are staring, how we're staring at the character. The best example is if you want to objectify a woman, the camera starts at her ankles and works
the way up. So think of Megan Fox on that bike in Transformers.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. And that just feels like crudely, distastefully sexual.
Yeah.
Right? Where you know what its intent is.
Yeah.
But Luca seems to have this acceptance that we are primal and we
100%.
do desire the body, right?
Yeah.
but it's done in a way where you say someone is beautiful, not sexy.
Yeah.
But there is that kind of thing to it, but it doesn't feel blatantly objectified. It feels like it understands us.
Exactly,
and then these guys, with their soundtrack, are underpinning this pace and this like sultry energy to this desire where this, like under this tennis game.
And it's not set in the 90s. So there wasn't,
It's 2019.
The techno wasn't about putting it in a particular timestamp.
Yeah.
It was just about
The genre
this
is right.
very particular, like kind of color. You know, when someone speaks, what's the condition where music has color to you?
I can't remember.
Synesthesia.
Some people
That
sort of
sounds
see
right,
music as having color.
I'm
like,
so impressed I remember
this
that.
is-
I think it is, yeah.
you know,
Synesthesia, yeah.
it's that. This
Chromesthesia.
gives it color. But let's talk about the actors.
We've said that 5 times. So Mike Feist, who before this was "When You're a Jet" riff in West
He
Side
was my
Story.
favorite. He was my favorite. One of my favorite performers in that.
Yeah, dude.
He was in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story.
So good.
That's right.
So good, dude.
That's right. He was.
Him and it's Ariana DeBose. What's
Yes.
her name? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
DeBose.
those two stole the show for me.
When
yeah.
you're a jet all the way.
It's so good, man.
We've got have you seen the postcard we've got in the gift shop?
Oh no, of the original West.
The original one with the subtitle on, where the subtitle
Sondheim,
says "tough guy finger snapping," and we sell that like screen grab as a postcard at the bioscope. Okay, he was that, and then the other guy,
It's Josh O'Connor.
So he was in The Crown.
he was the
He was Prince Charles.
he was Prince Charles in The Crown. So is he naturally British, or did he?
He is British.
Yeah, I think he's naturally.
Oh, so he
British.
put on an American accent for challenges.
So he
That was good.
I first
I
saw
would
him
never have
in God's Own Country.
I
Okay.
haven't seen that.
That's a great. Me and Cole were talking casually the other day about happy queer movies. Like, well, not happy queer movies, but queer movies that have happy endings.
Yeah.
Because they tend to be quite tragic.
Yeah. That's one of the God's Own Country is such a great film. I think it was on South African Netflix for a while. I don't know if it's still there.
God's Own Country.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
so good. It's about 2 farm boys and.
Oh, great premise.
Yeah, and no, but it's fantastic. Like Josh O'Connor's character is like hiding that he's gay, obviously, and this foreigner comes in. I think he's Romanian. I'm half remembering this, but he's a foreigner and he's a little more in tune with his sexuality, and something like a bond
Interesting.
happens, and
Okay.
it's lovely film.
Well, I want to say, Cole, how does this movie remind you of Road to El Dorado?
So I was saying to Perrin,
blatant.
I was saying to Perrin when we walked out the cinema that we've got to do like a side-by-side comparison of the shots of what was her name? Was it Tully or something in Road to El Dorado?
I can't remember, yeah.
Her and the 2
boys
from Road to El Dorado next to each other, and do a frame-by-frame comparison of the 3 in this movie
Yeah.
on the bed,
Okay.
because it's the same fucking thing. It is the same thing.
Without the making out.
When you're a closeted bisexual watching Road to El Dorado, an animated movie, and it's innocence. I mean, that is a sexual movie, one.
Yeah, 100%.
But you're sitting there going like, this is amazing. This is the
Yeah.
greatest thing I've ever fucking seen. It's
they've
like
adapted
watching.
it to live action.
Yes, they've adapted it to live action.
Okay, so when you were watching, it's a Disney movie or DreamWorks.
DreamWorks.
It's a DreamWorks animation, The Road to El Dorado, which came out in like the 90s or
It's like
2000s.
98 or 2002,
Yeah.
somewhere around there.
You were picking up some bisexual
Energy.
from that movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because
Okay.
they're vying for one girl, aren't they?
Yes, they're
Yeah.
both vying for the same goal. It's the same premise. It's a great double
Okay.
bowl.
Okay.
You should do Road to El Dorado. Just say Bisexual Day. For Bisexual Visibility Day, put on Road to El Dorado and challenges back to back.
When-
2000, yeah.
When is
That's a good
Bisexual
idea.
Visibility Day?
I have no idea. That is Russell, do it.
Okay.
Curated by Cole Matthews.
Yeah, basic. It's like the most basic
And
curation ever.
Lovely. I think more will come up as we keep chatting, but I think let's move on to some other stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
You finished Baby Reindeer.
Phenomenal show. Did you guys
Okay.
watch it?
Mm-mm.
You started.
I've started it.
Yeah.
I certainly am intrigued. I do tend to avoid the movies and the shows where things just get worse and worse and worse and worse.
Things do get worse.
I know,
worse,
and
yeah.
I must say, I don't know whether it's my sensibility or what I do day to day or what I kind of need from a
Yeah.
easy watching, but I tend to avoid the ones where it's like, oh, it's just getting worse.
Yeah.
You experience shock quite viscerally in movies. When Like there's a jump scare in challenges that I went to. We all know what it is. There's
Yeah.
like a cut that
Yeah.
freaks you out. Russ like physically like convulses and holds my shoulder, and he's like,
Kira's
so I can't
this-
imagine something like
I spent the majority of Talk to Me nestled under Cole's like armpit.
You're a little baby bird, and he was, bringing you back to health.
I'm a little baby reindeer.
Yeah. No,
in my wing.
Kira's the same. She freaks out like in challenges as well. There was moments where she like jumped.
Yes.
And like your friend Claudia?
Yeah?
Yeah, I heard her laughing at you. She was like, "What are you doing?"
What is Baby Reindeer?
So Baby Reindeer, I just want to make sure I get the names
Yeah,
right.
I actually
but-
don't know what the premise is.
So essentially, the premise is, it's about a struggling comedian, right?
Yeah.
He works as a bartender, and then one day a woman comes in. She's like super sad and upset, and all he does is give her a cup of tea on the house, and this woman becomes like literally 350 hours of voice notes later.
Loads of emails.
Yeah, 200,000 emails later, like she becomes his stalker, obsessive stalker. And it's such a fucking, like, at first you're like, this is a funny concept, haha, like a crazy woman who's obsessed with him, whatever. And like he's a struggling comedian. There's lots of like humor peppered in, but the deeper it goes in, it just gets darker and darker and darker.
Because he discovers that she has a history
Yeah,
of being a
serial
stalker,
stalking, yeah.
but he still sort of entertains her in a particular way, or there's still these moments,
Yeah.
and like one
and
time,
you find out why. Yeah.
and why this is so interesting
Yeah.
is that because this is one of those shows. Once every 6 months or so, there's a show that everyone's talking
It's like
about,
explodes. Yeah.
or a movie, right? So like Saltburn was earlier this year,
Yeah.
or like Wednesday, or like it was like a real like dinner party braai show you talk about. Baby Reindeer is one of those because there's so much more to grab onto. One of those things is that the guy who's the lead,
Yeah. It's based on a true story.
it happened
Yeah.
to him.
sure.
So he put on this like
Fucking crazy.
he put on this like one person show about it.
in West End.
He
which
like
is
developed it. I
England's,
think it was at the Edinburgh Festival. I'm gonna
Yeah.
maybe be misquoted,
Yeah, it started there.
but he created this thing, and so it's now sent everyone around him or people stalking to find who that person was.
Which I think is.
And he's tried to say, guys, that's not the point. Like,
Yeah,
please
I was gonna
don't
bring that up,
Please
yeah.
don't do this. Like, it's maybe some things are real, but I've made a lot of it fictitious. But there is one person who has come out to say, well, everyone's badgering me
Yeah.
because I was the person, but I don't. And she's suing Netflix right now.
Yeah, so she's.
Because with
my goodness.
one of the biggest standout things that comes out in
The show, yeah.
reporting of her suing Netflix was that she was upset about how fat the woman
Yeah,
was
yeah.
that portrayed her.
Yeah, so she's like, like, I saw that
I'm
as
not
well.
nearly as fat or something, or like I'm.
Oh my goodness,
I'm
what?
good looking. She
But
says.
do you, know
No.
do you know what's funny is she also said in her statement, she's like, oh, he was the one obsessed with me and stuff. And literally everything this woman is saying is exactly what she says in the show as well. So
Oh
like,
my God.
And the thing is, like, the brilliant thing about the show as well is that, like, so the creator, Shaman, you can see there's like this show, like obviously he.
You can see the pain in his eyes
can
when
see
he's
the-
acting.
Yeah, because like he, you must watch if you ever finish it, you must watch the making of afterwards. It's a 12-minute feature, right? And he talks about how like there were moments where he forgot his lines because this actress in front of him was embodying everything about this person that like traumatized him, and he was just like,
Fuck, dude.
And the thing is, like, what's interesting about the show as well is, and he says it himself, he says it's a very different stalking show, like a stalker movie
It's
premise
not
show.
obvious. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
one thing if it's just someone who's badgering you, and you think you can just tell them no.
Yeah, it's not dressed
leave
to
me
kill.
alone.
It's not anything like that, right? So like with this, like it's one of the most like eye-opening like films / TV art, whatever, where it really puts you in the feet of someone being stalked and why they would allow it to continue happening, why they would allow
Right.
to
And the
humor it. you know?
and the little moments where that door gets opened for
Yeah.
that person to come in further.
yeah.
And like one of them is, for example, is is not even his fault. Someone else takes his phone and then says sends her a text.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What have you done?
Yeah.
Like, you have no idea what you've just done." And of course that gives her more reason
more
to
ammo. Yeah. And the thing is, like, it's like, it's a very hard watch. I'm not going to tell people it's a funny show and stuff like that. And I see people making
go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, and I see some people making certain jokes about certain aspects of the show that feel in very poor taste because of what has happened in the show and what happens to the main character and his history and stuff. And I'm not giving anything away, but episode 3 is when it starts to get really dark. Episode 4 is one of the hardest. It's 43 minutes, so let's round it off to an hour. It's one of the hardest hours of TV I've ever seen.
Really?
Serious?
Really difficult to watch. There's a disclaimer in the beginning, because it's also a film about you very rarely see films or TV shows that deal with like sexual abuse or sexual assault towards men, right?
Right.
And I mean, it's an important discussion as well because it does happen.
Yes.
And like
and what that looks like, because it might not be obvious.
The trauma that follows that, the toxic masculinity involved with that.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
it's such a cleverly written, and also the most important part about the show is it's so sincere. There's a monologue that he gives in episode 6. It is one of the best monologues I've ever seen of any movie or TV show. And it's
Sure.
the reason why is because it feels real. You can
There's a
see
sincerity. Interesting.
it's hard. It's like gut wrenching and like
Wow.
And that's when the magic of theatre probably shines
gorgeous,
through, because
yeah.
that monologue was no doubt, or some version of it was in his
100%.
show.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's when, it's not about stand-up comedy. It's a very well crafted piece of theatre.
Yeah. Definitely.
And then that's interesting that then turns into a show and will make its way into the show.
And another thing as well, like it's interesting how this will also, like, I saw a brief article where they're talking about how like internet sleuths can be some of the most annoying people in the world, where they're like,
Right.
they think they have all the answers or whatever, right? And with this, like, I feel bad for the guy because you touched on it briefly, where like people are already prying into his private life now. They're like, oh, this is the person that did X, Y, and Z to him. And he's like, comes out and says, well, guys, like, not all of the show is exactly how it happened. For legal reasons,
Yeah.
I can't do it because I'm A, protecting people, or B, protecting myself, or C, sometimes it helps the story move along.
Exactly.
But you can tell when there are moments where it is real to him, like the monologue, where like that all happened to him and he's fucking unloading, and it's just heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
And if you ever like bite the
Sure.
bullet, Cole, like it's only 7 episodes. Most of them are like 30 minutes long.
Yeah, so
It's
it is
bingeable.
easy enough to
Yeah.
binge. But yeah, I don't think anyone really even expected it to be that big. And so
Yeah.
that's why,
So good.
maybe there is a lesson in what you put out there. But in the same breath, it's like that's where the good art comes from.
Yeah,
And these
exactly.
incredible moments and how real life can write itself into and take inspiration into a film or into a TV show. Some of the things that happen, you just can't.
It's
I'm just thinking
unbelievable,
of last week's chat with Brett and Hilton from the film Just Now Jeffrey. This moment in history where for a brief period there was porn broadcasted on SABC.
SABC. I remember Mnet and ETV.
This was a
What?
mistake.
Mnet?
Oh wow!
No,
what?
this was a moment that made news where someone broadcasted porn out on SABC. This was
like a Tyler Durden moment.
it was
Yeah.
brief.
Insane.
It was for a few minutes, and of course, it was at that point in history in the
Wow.
80s when
shit.
when millions of people were watching.
Censored. Yeah,
And you wonder
Jesus.
what the story was behind that. And in the film Just Now Jeffrey,
Yeah.
there's a point where I don't want to give too much away, but
Yeah.
there's a point where they do that. And it just
crazy.
becomes a fun part of this plot.
yeah.
And,
The
and
zeitgeist. Yeah.
but it was them growing up in South Africa in the 80s going, I wonder what happened there.
yeah.
It's crazy. You
That
can't,
is.
you know,
I want to know more.
yeah, exactly. And so that's what they were thinking. Like, I wonder what the story was that led to this
Yeah.
brief moment when porn was broadcast on
so
conservative
crazy.
South Africa.
Yeah, it
Like
sounds.
heads were rolling.
That must have been a form of protest.
Yeah,
That's
that's what they.
crazy.
You could think that what they thought is that perhaps it was a mistake.
Yeah.
Someone busy copying illegally, and they
Yeah,
pressed
yeah.
the wrong button. Who knows? But it's just when you have these real life moments, and you think this would make a great.
Yeah, a great movie.
A great
yeah.
movie.
I'm
We
calling
have a
it.
lot of that.
I'm calling it now. Just the last thing on Baby Reindeer. She's going to win Best Actress or Supporting Actress in a miniseries,
Yeah.
and I think he will as well for Emmy at the Emmys.
And an Emmy.
Oh, like
award.
SAG as
for a
well.
limited series, yeah, dude, they're just unbelievable. Like,
Really?
that monologue pushed him over. I was like, he has to win. And she's just one of the most. Yeah, you got to watch.
But
it.
what I also love is the more we have these incredibly nuanced characters and these moments, and of course, as we said, some of it is fake, or dramatized. But
yeah,
a lot of these shows are teaching us sort of how we can interact with each other and how we can understand strangers and what the red flags are to look out for. I mean, that's the one good thing of this kind of true crime docu-series.
Yeah, definitely.
Where all these people are
I
like, but I trusted him and he did this and I couldn't believe it. He kept saying this. He kept saying, he's got money, but
Yeah.
you think, fuck woman. It's
yeah,
obvious.
exactly.
But
yeah.
you just need a couple of these shows to have everyone go, okay, I think I can identify some red flags in life.
Yes.
And they're actually helping
No,
society.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else are we enjoying? Anything your side, Cole?
Well, interesting thing yesterday, I got a Crunchyroll subscription again.
Oh, sick.
So watching anime.
Okay, what is Crunchyroll?
A streaming service for anime, basically.
It's a great name.
Yeah, it's a great name.
It's like I love the word crunch. So
Yes.
like every time I hear it, I'm like, oh.
It's what is the term? There's a term for that. Onomatopoeia.
It's onomatopoeic.
Yeah, sound words.
It wouldn't.
Yeah.
I don't
When
think
words
crunch
sort of
would be
sound-
an onomatopoeic word. It's like a crack or
Yeah.
what?
Crunch
Snap,
is-
crackle, and pop.
Rice
are-
Krispies.
Yeah, Rice Krispies
Yeah.
characters are all onomatopoeic.
Oh, if you love onomatopoeia, Adam West's Batman is for you, man. They're like
Yeah.
Zork, pow,
Yeah.
zang.
Fuck, that's so stupid. Every time, usually an Instagram reel pops up from that, and you're like, "What the fuck was the show? This is insane."
Okay,
But
so how much do you pay?
I think it's actually pretty cheap per month, but I just got the year subscription because it was like $400. So it was-
400 Rand for the whole year.
Yeah, so it was
That's wild.
pretty cheap.
With ads or without?
No, without ads.
That's a bargain.
Yeah, dude. I was like,
Wow.
this is fucking cool. And it does simulcasts with Japan. So if any anime is coming out and you want
That
to watch
is
it in Japanese,
fucking cool.
so you can see it all live, like with the big
Wow.
series.
Without VPN, local.
Yeah, local.
Oh, sick.
It's really fucking cool.
What does one do? Go to crunchyroll.com.
Yeah, crunchyroll.com.
Yeah.
And,
That's crunchy. That's CRU.
So I finally finished watching Attack on Titan.
Oh,
Which
so I
is-
saw on Letterboxd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like a big deal. It's like 10 years, started in 2014. And it's like, I think it was the most controversial or like, I don't know, it's famous anime that's been around for a long time.
Yeah,
'Cause
it's
everyone
it's
was
been the
watching it
biggest one for the past like
by far.
5
And
years.
the ending
yeah.
was fucking amazing.
Oh, really?
It was insane. It's a full-on tragedy, which
So-
is great.
But you can't watch that anywhere else, eh?
No.
It's not on Netflix or anything.
I think it
or-
might be on Netflix.
Some
Attack on
parts of it.
Titan
There's a lot
was-
of anime on Netflix.
But I
yeah.
must say, we are in the world now where the streaming service and the price that you pay could be better and easier than you trying to assemble it all yourself.
Oh,
yeah,
totally.
yeah.
And
yeah.
I think that's where they know
it's convenient.
they're winning. Where it's like, for that amount of money a month,
yeah.
you don't need to bother with torrents and
No,
your own
100%.
server and all
Yeah,
that
exactly.
stuff.
Click
it's all
server.
there. Yeah,
And
for
it's all
sure.
there. It's not like you have to even change the file names to get them in order. I've watched a handful of TV shows back in the day, that the ones that never came to South Africa, where you watched the wrong chunk at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you think that that's just a plot device,
Yeah,
and you realize that
exactly.
you were watching them in the
Out
wrong
of
order.
sequence. It was the worst
There's,
thing.
I remember there's Arrested Development. There was one episode. Did you guys ever
I
remember?
loved Arrested
I loved
Development.
it
The
so
first
much.
3 seasons.
Yeah. Oh, those are
The fourth one I didn't
Yeah.
mess with. Yeah.
there was one episode in season 1. There was one was played at the wrong time. So like it plays and then like there are things happening where like I was rewatching with my girlfriend and she was like, did we miss something? And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, and I remembered. I'm like, shit, this was when it was played out of sequence, like aired out of sequence. So, because a lot of the times when they have stuff on Netflix or even on the DVD set, they'll place it according to when it was aired, right?
Oh, okay.
So like it was accidentally done that way. So like there was a whole plot point where like, what the fuck? Like suddenly people are doing this, and then we've missed an episode. So
Arrested Development has to be one of the smartest TV shows. Have any of you guys ever seen the chicken? It was one of the better shows in terms of callback jokes.
Oh, dude.
So that there were certain things that you heard over and over again, and they kept coming back to them. And what Perrin's alluding to is the fact that the whole show centers around Jason Bateman.
Yeah, it's a
and
dysfunctional
Jason Bateman's
family,
character is sort of sitting at the middle of this chaos that this family has.
Yeah.
But over the course of 3 seasons, each family member reveals
their impression of a chicken.
impression of a chicken when they are referring to him as a chicken.
Yeah.
But all of them are so wildly like obscure and different.
Yeah.
Like Will Arnett's is like
Yeah, he goes, and then like, a kooka-ka-cha.
yeah, that's the yeah, the moms was
The dad was kooka-ka-cha. Yeah. Oh, so
but
good.
it's so smart because you know they've worked out the whole picture.
Yeah.
Right.
That's where callback is so good.
Yeah.
And there's one scene in particular where all the characters presenting their chicken at the same time, and it all comes to a full
circle
end.
moment.
And
Yeah.
he's like, "Have any of you ever seen what a chicken?"
And his
looks
impression's terrible as well. It's like, cluck, 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 cluck.
That sounds amazing.
Dude,
Like?
it's so good.
But as silly
my
as this
God.
might sound for someone listening, it is a very smart
It's
TV
so,
show.
there's,
And I just
yeah.
love that. I love when humor is underpinned by it being so smart.
If you loved Succession, you'll love Arrested Development because it's essentially the same like plot.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, like I mean, Succession's hilarious as well, but like Arrested Development's the sillier version.
Yeah.
Yeah. What have you been watching, Russ?
Yeah. Well, I was, challenges was a big part of my week. I started Ripley. On Netflix.
Yeah, I want to start that. Yeah, I love
ran
Andrew
into
Scott.
Donovan Goliath, who
Cool. Yeah.
has been a customer
Staple.
here at the video store, and he was like, "You got to watch Ripley." So I started it. It's very much a filmmaker's show.
Yeah, cinematography is all
Anyone who loves photography has got an appreciation for.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
It's a very beautiful show. So the whole thing's in black and white. So it's arty. It's arty.
Yeah.
So
And
it's not for everyone. So I lost Leslie about 3/4 through.
But it's Andrew Scott's.
where
Yeah, I
she
love Andrew Scott
Sexy priest.
so much.
So she
my
was
God.
like, "You can finish this show."
Oh,
Which is like
shame.
her way of going like, "I'm not interested."
There's-
Where
there's-
on the other hand, we've been watching Yellowstone
oh, sick.
because
You can both watch it.
and also throwback to the Denham Richards episode. You know,
Okay,
he's
yeah.
Colby in Video Store in
Yeah.
a previous episode, and he's Colby in Yellowstone. So it was so great to have a cast member of Yellowstone
that's cool.
as a
That's
guest on the
fucking
Video
cool.
Store.
Yeah.
But there's a whole nuanced story which I get into in the episode where I didn't watch the show
Yeah.
for the longest time, and now I'm watching it because have had this chat
Yeah.
with Denham.
That's very cool.
And it's so cool, like seeing him. And I get why it was the biggest show in America at one
Yeah.
point, and I do see it being a well-made show. But
Yeah.
there's a point in Yellowstone where I'm like, I don't like this. Like, I just
Okay.
don't like the characters in the show. It's not that it's badly
It's
made.
like a slug, yeah.
It's not that it's that.
It's not for you, bro.
It's just I don't
Yeah, I
like
get
I don't
you.
like the conniving evil characters. I don't like the fighting. I don't like that.
Shame, you're such a good person, right?
So nice.
No,
bro.
but
You're
it's
such a
just
sweetheart.
and also it's a little bit like the Baby Reindeer conundrum, which
Oh,
is
yeah,
like,
I get you. You don't wanna
it's
be
just
dragged
getting
through
worse,
mud.
and I'm like,
Yeah.
and why did you fucking kill him? Like,
yeah,
oh
yeah.
shit.
So you don't like Breaking Bad?
Oh,
I,
dude.
I never went down the rabbit hole.
Wow.
Okay, yeah,
I
don't.
respect
Yeah.
and
It's
know
not for you.
I respect and know how good it is as a TV show, but
Yeah.
yeah.
It's not
And
for
so-
you, bro.
It's so funny that there was a point where I bowed out of Yellowstone and Leslie bowed out of Ripley.
Yeah, okay.
So that was funny.
The prequel series for Yellowstone has fucking Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren
Yeah.
playing couples on a ranch, and I'm like, I want to watch Harrison Ford be a rancher and a cowboy.
I love Harrison Ford.
He is so
much.
amazing,
He's
dude.
so funny. He's one of the funniest
He is.
interviewers.
Hilarious.
Like
in
his interviews with Conan O'Brien are
What was
always
the,
funny.
The Bruno moments.
I can't remember.
I think it's Bruno.
The Sacha Baron Cohen. Yeah.
Where he's like, we're going to interview Harrison Ford, and then he runs off onto the street where Harrison Ford's like just walking, I guess. And he's like,
Something
oh no,
this.
it's Harrison Ford, and Harrison's just like, fuck off.
Yeah.
And carries on walking.
I love him
Shrinking.
so much.
Shrinking is an amazing
I didn't
TV show.
finish
Oh.
it, but I was enjoying it.
It's
yeah.
so
I need to
good.
watch the series, guys.
It's so good.
Wholesome.
It's on
Yeah.
Apple TV Plus. It's also Jason Segel,
Yeah.
Harrison Ford.
He's delightful.
They psychologists, very quick
Mm.
and sharp. Like it's the same people I think behind Scrubs and
It is, yes.
And so
yeah.
it's that same dialogue where all the characters are so like quippy,
Yeah.
but in such a good way that no one really speaks like that. And then you kind of wish that you did.
Yeah, it's like Aaron Sorkin movies where you're like, oh man, everyone sounds so cool. Like,
All right, guys. It was a lovely day.
you guys
It was a
haven't
nice
asked
day.
me the rest of my.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
In the
did you
get-
prepare
in the-
something?
In the get to
Dude,
know.
I've been waiting. I've been like sleepless nights.
Okay.
Okay, give us a quick rundown.
Okay.
No, well,
What
okay.
did you watch?
So-
Puppy Love was. Oh no, you didn't ask me my four.
I have 4 questions. Let's do one every time parents
That's exactly what I was
So we
about
did
to
Puppy
say.
Love last time.
So, when we do our guest episodes, we go through the 4 great loves.
Yeah.
And Perrin is new to our crew here.
Yeah.
So,
crew.
we've already done the Puppy Love film, which is your primary school love.
Yeah.
Now we're over to High School Crush.
High
So
School
let's
Crush.
let's end on this one.
So High School Crush is essentially what movie I was really into in high school.
What came to you? What kind of defines your high school in some shape or form?
It's probably when you started getting into movies.
Okay, all right. This is gonna make me sound like a real incel. So incel means incelibate. They choose not to. And they're usually neckbeards who are angry at any diversity in any show or movie. Anyways, so the movie that like kicked off that I really wanted to make movies, watch movies, love movies, Taxi Driver.
Okay.
So Scorsese always has a special place in my heart. He's my favorite filmmaker, along with Paul Thomas Anderson, Celine Sciamma, and the Coen brothers. And Taxi Driver was the first movie where I rewatched it like 5 times in a week. I was obsessed
Really?
with it. Like
Interesting.
the way
I
it
don't
was
have that
made.
relationship with it at all.
Yeah, like just the way it was made, performances, just the music. Fucking one of the best scores of the 70s. A jazzy. Oh,
that
so good.
soundtrack so much.
Really?
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's not for me. It's what I want to say. Michael's training me.
Wow.
I can't say I hate it. It's not for me.
Yeah, no,
That's
I
nice.
got through that phase as well. Where I was like, don't say you hate something, say it's not my thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So thanks for not hurting my feelings. But
so
like, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's not my favorite Scorsese film, but it's one of my favorites. But like, it got me into like exploring other films, and then
Okay.
obviously
Okay.
because Scorsese is the film historian, like. You want to watch everything he recommends, or he's influenced by. Or whatever.
Historian by the fact of what other films he says he loves, and
Yeah,
and he's just a great lover
That's
of the
crazy.
history of film.
And he's a film. I can't remember the word, but preserver. Like
Yeah.
yeah. Like he's one of the guys. I mean, like so I collect Criterion movies and stuff, and he's got a series where it's the World Cinema Project, I think it's called, and he just takes obscure classics, like movies that are have been forgotten about, or like are sitting rotting in a library in like Uganda
that deserve to be brought out,
and like he restores it. Like I mean, he was involved with like I know he was involved with Spielberg with Lawrence of Arabia with that restoration. Even though that wasn't an obscure classic, they still like
but it can be
prolonged
anything.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But speaking of that, the Bioscope played a tiny little part in doing something similar this past weekend. My lecturer, shout out to Lisa Lowe, approached me and said that she has come across this film and knows this filmmaker. It was 1979, and the film was called Knockout. And it was one of, it's very hard to say what literally was, but it was one of the first films to have black South African actors on camera.
Oh wow! So it's a
And-
literal film history.
Yeah,
That's
and she's
crazy.
like, we've got this film, and the bully who made it, he's now old. He lives in Killarney, and we want to have a screening. It's got, I think she said Abigail Kubeka,
That's so cool.
in it, and how much would it be to hire the Bioscope?
Yeah.
And I sort of said, well, this is the normal rate for this
Yeah.
sort of thing. And she said, okay, well, let's think of how we're going to raise the money. And I was like, Lisa, like, let's just screen it, man.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a piece of
if we just
film
get everyone to
history.
come, I'll make my money off the popcorn. Like I just want to be a part of giving this a premiere.
Yeah.
So we did it. We did it on Sunday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
so cool.
Yeah,
Was
it's
it a private
lovely-
thing?
Yeah, the first one will be private, just for their invited guests, because I wanted to make some of it available for the public, but it's very hard to control the guest list because you never know who is going to come or who's going to bring people. So this first one was a private screening, but I want to be a part of helping just keep it more alive. So we can have some public screenings so that Google will have some juice to sort of list it, or the
Yes.
synopsis will be up there. There's a very faded poster, and I want to get one of the illustrators we work with limited edition to perhaps also give their time to fix this poster so that it can kind of live on and restore that. And I just want to be a part of
That's really cool.
bringing it back to life,
Do you
which
know
I think was cool.
Sorry, before we sign off, but there was a guys that I met not too long ago where they go to the archives in Pretoria, and
I've heard
there's-
about this place.
Yeah, and there are tons of films that were never approved by the apartheid government,
Yeah,
just sitting there
yeah.
in film, actual like the negatives.
The negatives.
Yeah.
And they've been going there and they've been watching movies, like, because these guys are like, yeah, just take it, like, and they've
It's
been
not,
watching.
it's not very well looked after as a place. And, and
so
I
like,
think like everything, you sort of, there's one or two people that are perhaps well-meaning and
Yeah.
trying hard, but the rest of it, it's a government institution, so it's
Fuck, our
it's
government has failed
mothballing.
us. It
Yeah.
makes me so angry.
yeah, dude,
Like,
Go out and vote,
why,
folks.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Why the fuck aren't the ANC putting more effort into restoring that?
yeah, so
and protecting that history.
and it's crazy because I was like asking them, like, why were they not like approved or whatever, and they were like often said it's almost like in the 60s in Eastern Europe, like Hungary, Czech Republic, Poland,
Yeah.
they all had this the new wave of them. So there'd be the Hungarian new wave and the Polish new
Yeah.
wave and stuff, and these guys were
Talking
making
about filmmaking, yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
these guys were making establishment movies.
Okay.
And the thing is, the reason why those films traveled is because they did it so covertly, where they hid the messages so well that
Right.
these governments were like, well, we want people to know that we are making killer movies. So like a lot of these films would go to Cannes and the Oscars and stuff like that, even though they were these fucking very subversive, revolutionary films, you know?
Yeah.
So these guys that I was chatting to, they said a lot of these were Afrikaans films, but they were very anti-establishment films, and like they either didn't hide their messages well enough,
Yeah.
where the government was like, "Oh, we're fucking calling it right now," and they said these films, there's these great films sitting there. They're busy translating them right now.
That's
and
so
like,
great. Yeah, can you
Yeah.
connect me with them somehow?
yeah,
do you,
I'll
do you
give
know
you
them?
details. Yeah.
Yeah, we I'd love that.
They-
the bioscopes
They
got
actually
to play a part in that.
Yeah, they are they own the DVD, like little DVD shop on
Greenside.
Greenside, yeah.
Oh, the
wow.
Majestic.
Yeah, it's those guys.
Oh, they
Yeah.
cool. Lovely.
So have
Shout
a chat
out to
with
them.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for spending this time with us. Our home base, if you didn't know, is thevideostore.co.za, where we've got links to other episodes and links to our social media. We'd love you to chime in on Instagram and on Facebook to let us know what you think about what we've been chatting about. What did you think about Baby Reindeer? And we want to have you come and visit us again soon. Our next episode is going to be this coming Thursday. It's going to be our guest chat, where we're going to have Zoe Ramashu pop in. She is an actor, a filmmaker, and a journalist, and she is behind Real Estate Sisters, which has been sitting firmly in the top 10 over on Netflix. It's a film, and we're going to chat all about that and the films that she's loved. All right, so come on back and give us a visit this Thursday. Cool, man.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
That was lovely.
Thank you
Yeah.
for the day. Thank you for the
Yeah.
chat.
Cole's legs, love you.
Yeah.
Say goodbye, boys. Not going to see them for a while.
Next week it's Russell's legs. Oh yeah.
Cheers.
Bye.
TTFN.